The launch of Disney's Lorcana has been delayed for some. We're going to look at 2 video games that are becoming board games, and Total War Warhammer 3 has royally ticked off its players. All this and more in this week's Tabletop News. My name's Angela, and welcome to Hobby Night. Disney's Lorcana is officially out, so let's go ahead and watch the teaser trailer and then talk about how it's actually been kind of delayed for a number of folks. Ooh. I haven't actually seen much of like the ads for Lorcana outside of some print material, so seeing some of their animated stuff is really cool, and I'm loving this character immediately. Like, she's all purple, and I am all about that, absolutely digging it. Is she about to get a Sekai basically away and into another land? Because yes, she is. She's absolutely. I love that they're just jumping in on that trope. She's been Whoa, that's really cool. Oh, I do really like the aesthetic of this game, and I do hope that it eventually makes its way to stores in California, because as we're about to talk about, Disney's Lorcana has been delayed for some folks. Now, it's not everybody. A lot of places have gotten their boxes and they've had their debuts of the launch of the game because it technically officially came out on August 18th. However, for a lot of stores, my friendly local game store included, they didn't get their shipment of the product, which meant that the Learn to Play event that they were planning on having ended up being delayed. And as far as I can tell, they still have not received their shipment of the game. Now, I don't think this is any like nefarious fault of somebody stealing the products and it's not making it to the store because of that reason. That's nothing, anything that I've heard about. I think this is just a matter of shipping problems still exist. There was some sort of delay in products getting to California and possibly the west coast of the US. I don't know if there's other, like if Washington, for example, didn't get theirs either. But at least it seems like places in California did not get theirs, and it seems like that's because of one distributor just not getting their shipments. Which is not the first time that I've heard this happening, as somebody who worked in a game store, honestly, and was the buyer for products. That is not uncommon, but it is really unfortunate for this particular game because Lorcana has had a rough start to it coming on to the field as a card game, as a TCG. Not only did they get sued by Upper Deck because of conflict of what the game's mechanics were, which I still don't think has been resolved. There was also the debacle at Gen Con where there were just massive crowd problems and people were being rude to each other and it just kind of got out of control. And now there are some stores that aren't even getting their product in time for launch day to be able to do Learn to Plays and try to build up a community, which is really, really vital for TCG, especially if you want it to thrive in a game store. So this delay is really, really unfortunate. And I'd love to know, are you one of the stores that missed out on getting the product in time, or have you been able to get your hands on Disney's Lorcana? Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video real quick to remind you to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications so that you never miss any of the hobby content that we make here on the channel. Next, I want to talk about the Kickstarter trailer for the Call of Duty board game coming to us from Arcane Wonders. Now, as of the time of recording this episode, this Kickstarter had less than a day left on it, but because this is an Arcane Wonders game, I expect we're gonna end up seeing this on retailer shelves, and in fact, I see retailer edition on the Kickstarter page, which we'll be looking at a little bit after this trailer. I really like the look of this game, and something that I find really interesting that they're doing in this one in particular is some of the miniatures are coming pre-painted, which I think is a brilliant idea. Unlike the creators of, say, Tainted Grail and ISS Vanguard, who end up doing this sort of natural wash over top of the miniatures to give them a little bit of an aesthetic without fully painting them, which, don't get me wrong, I really, really like. These guys are actually going the full mile in painting some of the miniatures. Not all of them, but as you can see, some of the miniatures are going to be pre-painted just as they come in the game. And I just really like that because I prioritize my wargaming miniatures specifically over top my board game miniatures when it comes to investing the hobby time into them. And so to actually not have to worry about having to paint all of the miniatures, some of them will already be done for me and I can just focus on the cool player character models that are the ones I probably want to paint the most anyways. I actually really like that. I think it's an absolutely brilliant choice, and I hope to see other developers do this in the future for some of their games. I don't know how successful it's ultimately going to end up being. I totally stumbled over that word there, because I do know that pre-painting your miniatures in a game does add to the cost, which then increases the cost for the consumer, and they may or may not want to pay for that, right? But I do think it's a really interesting idea. I hope this ends up being successful, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. One of the other things that I really liked about this game, and I just want to talk about it really quick, while looking at the Kickstarter page, is just the overall aesthetic of the game. The boards here, I really, really like. They feel very reminiscent to me of classic wargaming, and I like that element being added in since Call of Duty is technically a war game. I also think they did a really good job with some of these tokens. Again, it just really makes me feel that classic wargame style. And then all of the card art, of course, looks gorgeous. And then as you can see, we've got some of these pre-painted miniatures. Now, some of these things are expansion packs and add-ons, but I suspect you'll be able to buy those in stores as well, because again, a lot of these Kickstarter games are all going to retailers down the line, whether it ended up being your friendly local game store, a comic book store, etc. And especially these games that are based off of bigger IPs like video games, you definitely can expect to see those, I think, even in big box stores down the line, because I just think board games continue to get really, really popular. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm not going to put it on the Kickstarter itself, but it's definitely one I'm going to keep an eye out for when it hits retailer shelves. We're moving from one video game-based board game to the next. This time, though, focusing on Guilty Gear. So let's go ahead and watch the trailer. And I'm just gonna warn you now, there's not gonna be sound for this trailer, because this one would definitely get the video copyright struck immediately. It's got full-on lyrics. I'm pretty sure it's just using the Guilty Gear theme. So if you want to listen to that on your own while watching this, feel free to, but we're gonna keep it on silent. Now, this one I think is really interesting. It's coming to us from Level 99 Games, which do a lot of anime-based games, and so I think Guilty Gear is a perfect fit for them. And as you can see, we're getting some really cool, clear, full-color printed standees for all the characters. Now, they're calling this Guilty Gear Strife, the board game, which I find a little bit interesting, because as you watch this, it looks more like a card battler to me, although there is a board. And you can kind of see that positioning seems to matter as we continue to watch this trailer, which does really lean into the board game element of this. And I'm looking forward to finding out more once this actually goes live on Kickstarter, because as of right now, it is not currently up and available, but it should be coming to Kickstarter soon. And I'm going to be curious to see what Guilty Gear fans think of this. One option that I'm also really hoping for in regards to this Kickstarter is that there might be an add-on option, perhaps, of miniature versions rather than having the clear standees. As cool as they do look, and I think that clear standees have gotten significantly better from when I originally sort of formed my initial opinion on them and decided I did not like them, and that miniatures, no matter what, were far superior always. That's not really how I feel anymore, because as you can see in this trailer alone, they've gotten really, really good at making clear, beautiful standees that just look gorgeous. But seeing miniatures of some of these really cool anime characters, I think would be amazing. So I do hope that on the Kickstarter, perhaps they will give us an add-on pack that gives us options for at least some of them in miniature form. I don't want these ones pre-painted, kind of like how the Call of Duty ones were. I want these ones to be raw so that I can paint them myself and have fun, play around with colors and vibrancy, because these characters are wildly colorful, and it really speaks to me. I really, really like it. Overall, I think this one's going to be pretty interesting, but I don't know exactly how fans are going to jump onto it or not. But I do think it'll be cool to see once it arrives on Kickstarter. Creative Assembly is not making any new friends with their recent DLC pack price. As you may have heard, fans are ticked at what you are getting in this new Lords pack for DLC for Total War Warhammer 3, especially if you compare it to what you used to get in Total War Warhammer 2 Lord pack drops. Now, the price of this Lord pack is outrageous, and I completely agree with the fans who are upset, because you have to pay $24.99 USD for this Lord pack, which gets you 3 Lords and then a couple of other added things in, but really not that much. You're just getting these 3 lords for 3 factions that already exist in the game. They're not even adding in any new factions with this. So not exactly the best outcome anyways, but to pay $24.99 for it is outrageous. And I want to switch over to this great post from a Steam user here, Trippus. He breaks down a couple of old Lord packs that you would have gotten in Total War Warhammer 2, and then what you get in the Shadows of Changelord pack that is upcoming. And he also declares the price of those other packs. The first one, you got 4 legendary lords, a bunch of other things, and the grand total was about $20, or depending on how you split it, because you could buy these as 2 separate packs, $10 each. So not bad, and you got a lot of stuff. The other one, you got another 4 legendary lords. Not quite as much things as you got in the previous one, but it was only $18. So still a really good deal. Whereas you go to the new one and you're only getting the 3 legendary lords, really not a whole lot else with it, and it's costing $25. People are not happy. And as you can see, the current reviews for the game have just been completely tanked. They are getting completely review bombed with an overwhelmingly negative review. Now, one thing that I do think that is happening during all of this that I don't agree with, because complaining about the prices, asking Creative Assembly to address this while giving them examples of, hey, you didn't used to price gouge us like this, what the heck is going on, is reasonable. And Creative Assembly has come out to try to say, hey, prices of making these things have gone up, so we've also had to increase our prices. And to a small extent, that's reasonable, but $25 for 3 legendary lords and not a lot else is a bit ridiculous. Like, that just seems absolutely outrageous. But the thing that is happening that I don't agree with, and I would like to ask people to stop doing, is threatening the devs. Under no circumstances, no matter how angry you may get with a company to then go and write a bunch of negative reviews or anything, nothing justifies threatening a dev's family, anything like that. That kind of behavior is absolutely not what you should be doing. And all that behavior actually does is cause anxiety for the person who's being threatened. So while be angry, let Creative Assembly know that you're not happy with what they're doing. Don't threaten the devs that are working on the projects, because the pricing isn't really within their control. They just get to make the product and have to deal with all the consequences, even though it's really not their doing making this a $25 DLC pack. We've got another upcoming Warhammer preview, and look at all of the various things we're going to learn about Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, the Old World, which I'm very excited to learn about, Warcry, Underworlds, and my other favorite, Blood Bowl! I can't wait to find out what we're going to be seeing at these previews. And if you'd like to join me finding out what we're going to be getting, you absolutely can do so, because I am going to be having a watch-along live stream, which will begin on August 30th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a half an hour before Warhammer is going to go live. That way we can discuss what we think we might actually see from all of these different brands from Games Workshop. Now, they have started this preview though with a little bit of a teaser of some orcs, and I want to take a look at that new orc figure because he looks fantastic. The only thing I can think about every single time I see this figure is gore, gore, gore! Because I'm pretty sure orcs would be a massive fan of ECW, and this boy just reminds me of Rhino. That's all I really have to say about it. I think it looks glorious. He's kind of ridiculous, and I love that about him, but that's kind of what I love about orcs in general, is that they're absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait to join you guys finding out what we're going to get at the Nova Open Warhammer preview. See you then. Last but not least, we have one final miniature to take a look at, and this time it's coming to us from Blood Bowl. We have a brand new star player, and I think he is beautiful. Meet Kiroth Kraken Eye, the most majestic dark elf with a beautiful, beautiful mask. And honestly, the only thing I can think of when I look at this particular model is of Lokir Fellheart from Total War Warhammer. I mean, I know he's from just the old world in general, but that's predominantly where I know him from. And in my head now, that character plays Blood Bowl on the side, and this is what he looks like when he's playing Blood Bowl. I know they're two separate characters, but it's very funny to me, and I absolutely adore this. I also really, really like how they just did the line work, all this texture work on his cloak. I assume that's maybe like mildly there, but I also wonder if it's just painted and they just made it look more textured than it actually is. I kind of want to see this Forge World model in person, but I probably won't because I've never bought a Forge World model before, so I'm just going to have to view it from afar and drool over it at a distance. Maybe I should just go on there and buy one of them. Let me know down in the comments. Should I actually go and like buy a Blood Bowl Forge World model? Should that be my first Forge World model? Should I just bite the bullet and do it? Because they always look so cool and I always want them, but I've never committed to it. So tell me in the comments if you think I should. That has been it for this week in tabletop news. Before I head out, I do want to give you one final reminder to join me for the live stream watch along of the Nova Open Warhammer preview. That will begin right here on the channel starting at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time on August 30th. That's a half an hour before the Warhammer preview will actually go live. That way we can discuss everything, gush about what we might get to see, and then we'll find out if we're all either horribly disappointed or very, very excited. In the meantime, before I go, I do want to give one final thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we just would not be able to make this channel keep happening, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.